I now call the regularly scheduled meeting for the Natrona County Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, April 5th, 2022 to order. Madam Clerk, we have roll call, please.
Commissioner Hendry?
Here.
Commissioner Kaufman?
Here.
Commissioner Milne?
Here.
Commissioner North?
Here.
Chairman Bertolio?
Here. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. The first thing on our agenda is recognition of our employees' years of service. For 5 years in the Sheriff's Office, Craig Kirby, Todd Christensen, Ross Deal, James Solar. With the library, Lisa Scroggins. At the airport, Jason Proska. Apologize, I know how hard it is to get your name sometimes. Brian Spalding. 10 years at the airport, William Morgan. At the clerk, Connie Beeson. Child support enforcement, Michelle Jennings. IT, Chip Madsen. With Road and Bridge, Kyle Davis. With the Sheriff's Department, excuse me, did I miss one? I missed Travis Cozine with Road and Bridge, I apologize. Sheriff's Department, Kyle Davis, Jay Snyder, Gregory Saylor, Anthony Dill, Andrea Forbes, and with Community Action, Debbie Foreman. 15 years with the District Court, Candace Ford. With Road and Bridge, Kevin Morse. With the Assessor's Office, Diane Glazer. With the Sheriff's Department, Stacy Julian, Bradley Grime, Kelly Wilson, Sean Ellis, and Drew Cotton, as well as Michael Scott. With the Drug Court, Linda Blackdeer. With the airport, Glenn Januska. Came all the way out here just for this tonight. Yeah. Greg Tubridy, okay. With the fairgrounds, Lucia Stewart. 20 years with the county clerk's office, Letitia Drake. The district court, Samantha Paulson. In our IT department, our director, Eileen Hill. The treasurer's department, Heather Bryan. Sheriff's Department, Shane Rinker, as well as Rodney Burkle. The library, Gayla Petterman. And at the fair, Sean Sorensen. 25 years. Child support enforcement, Jane Malsom Swenson. And at the library, Michelle Butler. And we have a 40-year award tonight. At Road and Bridge, Mr. Dwayne Larson. Is he here with us tonight? Oh, okay. Well, on behalf of the commission as well as the citizens of Natrona County, we'd like to thank all of our employees. They do an outstanding job, not only for us, but more importantly for the citizens of Natrona County. So thank you all. Moving on, not much left on the agenda at this point. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Milne, seconded by Commissioner North. Any discussion on any item? There being none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. At this point, we have reached the end of our business agenda and would ask those individuals in the audience who wish to address the commission to come forward. State your name and address for the record. Good evening, Representative Walters.
Good evening, Commission. Tom Walters, 14700 Highway 220, Casper, Wyoming, 82604. Is that the pertinent information?
You're on your own now.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commission. I come before you today to discuss the road project on Cordes Road, which is the road on the east side of Alcova Reservoir. This project, as I reviewed all of your minutes for 2021 and into 2022, as well as your work session minutes, I was unable to find where the commission took any action in 2021 or 2022 on this project, other than I did see in August there was one instance where you did an agreement, a conditional use permit with the Bureau of Reclamation, and then earlier in June or July there was some landowner conditional use permits so that you could get outside of the roadway boundaries of this road. Beyond that, I've been unable to find where this project was approved by the commission, and that's why I'm here in the public comment period tonight to share my concerns with the way the traffic control on this project is being proposed. So this project is approximately a 7-mile project on the east side of Alcova, and the current traffic proposal is to close that road in 3 segments. But in doing so, it is an entire closure of the road. And then use a detour route that would take the residents in the area, the livestock producers in the area, as well as the general public throughout the 6 months, starting April 18th of this year, until 6 months later, which is early October, around past Pathfinder, down Fremont Canyon, and across a weight-limited bridge back up to join the Cordes Road at the south end of this project, and then proceed from there. Or if you are the general public desiring to access Cottonwood or Black Beach recreation areas, you would then proceed north back down the highway towards Alcova. And the reason I say that I don't find this to be a viable alternative route and detour is there's a safety issue. The Pathfinder Road, Fremont Canyon Road, is very narrow, very curvy. It's rated at 9% grade. And just to put that in relation, Casper Mountain Road is posted at 6% grade. So it's steeper than Casper Mountain Road, every bit as curvy and narrower than Casper Mountain Road, just so you have a little perspective. This is going to be taking place in the busiest time of the year for Alcova and for Natrona County tourism as people access Miracle Mile and Alcova Reservoir. Additionally, it has major impacts on the residents in the area out there that travel to town in the morning and home in the evenings, adding an additional 12 miles each way for an almost 25-mile round trip addition to their route every single day because of this proposal. I only learned of this about a week ago, 10 days ago, and I feel like the only reason I was able to figure out any of this information is due to my capacity in the state legislature. I'm not sure that the general public has any knowledge of what was going on until I started asking residents around the area. What I think the viable solution and the really what I think was in the original proposal when this bid went out to bid in October, it was October 20th the bid went out and was due by the 28th of October of 2021, was for 1-lane alternating traffic through this area. That would allow for folks to continue as they go, and yes, it would be delayed just like any other project, a construction project we deal with in the state of Wyoming, where you have the delays, and I think that's an acceptable solution. A 12-mile one-way, 25-minute drive out of our way every single direction is really not viable. Now, if I go a step further and discuss the livestock producers in the area, of which I am one of those, we haul multiple truckloads of cattle out every spring and multiple back in the fall as we take them to summer pasture. Expecting a semi-truck to go down this Fremont Canyon Road, which is weight limited, and the bridge that they must cross is weight limited, an issue that we discussed right here, and I came before you about 4 years ago because this route was proposed when the Alcova Bridge was failing. And everyone said, well, you can't take a cattle pot across the Alcova Bridge and you can't take it across that. So it was this very commission, although not all the members sitting here today are the same members, but our same Road and Bridge Department that said a fully loaded cattle pot is not allowed to be taken across Fremont Canyon Bridge. It's weight limited at 34 ton, half a load. So now we have extremely high fuel prices going on right now, and you're expecting a livestock producer to add additional miles and additional cost to their operation. Again, a viable, easy solution in this situation is 1-lane alternating traffic, as was in the original proposal when this bid came out. It was, from my understanding from the research I've been able to garner through the last week or so, this was eliminated in a cost savings proposal Because the bid came in overpriced. And why did the bid come in overpriced? My first guess is because there's only one bidder on the project. Why was there only one bidder? Because of something totally out of all of our hands, and that was the federal vaccine mandates. Won't even get into that discussion. But when you have one bidder out of central Montana bidding a project in central Wyoming, I am inclined to think that they added a lot of extra fluff to their bid to make sure they could cover their expenses. The original estimate on the project was between $6 and $9 million. The bid came in at 9.1, almost 9.2 million, so it's really not that far out of the original estimate. It is a 90-10 split with the county, so you guys are responsible for 10% of this project. So I understand that if doing an alternating traffic route and doing a change in the traffic does cost this commission some money, I get it. But I'm here to also bring you some good news. The state, we just approved an additional $254,000 that will be coming to Natrona County in direct distribution this year, in fiscal year 23. So if it's a 90-10, and I don't know what the state's share or the county's share would be, but I can guess that it would be less than $254,000 of money that you weren't anticipating in your budget. So I think it can be done. I think it can be done safely, and I think the alternative that is being proposed is just not a safe and not a practical way of expecting the good people in Natrona County and the good tourists that come to Natrona County to travel to get this done. I have been disappointed in the fact that there has been no outreach, no communication until I initiated it on this project to let the residents or the landowners in the area know what was taking place. It was only because I had the good fortune of meeting with one of your commissioners on a different subject, and I quizzed him about it, and then he said, I think it's happening this year, so I called YDOT to figure out what was going on. YDOT followed up with Road and Bridge, who then contacted me. But as I started contacting folks in the area over the last week, none of them were aware of the traffic pattern that was expected or when this project was expected to start. So I think some of this could probably have been eliminated. Instead of us being here before you today, I think we could have had some good dialogue previously. In talking to the contractor, his scheduled plan is to work 5 days, take a day off, work 5 days, take 4 days off. So I think right there, I think it should be, first and foremost, should be imperative that every day they're not working, that road should be open to at least single lane traffic. I'm not sure if that's in the contract. But all of these things are things we'd like to learn, things we'd like to understand, and things that I think all of you should understand because they affect all of Natrona County. They affect our tourist dollars. They affect the livelihoods of so many people out in that area. With that, I'll take any questions, and thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Walters? Do you have any at this point, or do you want to have Mike? We're aware of this, and do share some of your concerns. Being it's a federal project, I don't know to what degree, but the fact that they haven't reached out with such a significant project that has quite the impact on that area is a little disconcerting. But
and I guess I'd finish up by saying I have contacted and had good dialogue with Senator Lummis's office, and we're working to try and figure out what we can do on the federal front, knowing that the feds do have a little heavy hand on things, but I think we can come up with some solutions in that regard as well.
Okay.
And they're working very closely with me on that front.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
yes,
You know, you mentioned a couple of things. I don't know about public meetings out there, but they did meet with a lot of the individuals around. I think Mike was involved in some of those. Then the landowners that are right adjacent to the road didn't know because they were, we had an attorney working on some easements in there.
Correct. And those are the easements that I referred to in early June, I believe it was, in their
Yeah,
minutes.
fixing those so that we could go ahead
Correct.
with the road. As far as I understand the road is not great coming down off the hill from Pathfinder, but the bridge limits aren't a problem. That bridge is rated to 120,000 pounds.
It's posted
And-
at 34 ton.
It's posted wrong. We found out from DOT that bridge actually is 120,000. So illegal loads will be posted on that, and those signs will be down.
Okay, and Mr. Chairman, is that posting even with the bullet holes that are in it that were the concern a few years ago.
Yeah.
Because those
the
have
bullet
not been,
holes,
those have not
it'll
been
be a
repaired.
new-
And
new
that was the
sign.
concern, is because of the bullet holes that it had taken that rating from the 120 you're referring to down to the 34 ton that it is posted at. That was the concern 4 years ago, I think it was, when we replaced the Alcova Bridge. And it was not the original design is what you're saying, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Henry. It was the damage to the bridge that has caused the derating of it.
Well, I think they said just the other day that it's rated for 60 ton, so I think
Okay.
we're all right that way. The days off, I think that's an interesting idea, but you probably have to talk to the contractor when they come in, and make a deal. The federal highway, the one reason that I think that you did not hear much in our records is once we approved the grant to do that, the Highway Department, Federal Highway Commission pretty well did it. And we weren't involved too much. We knew about how much it was gonna cost, and so this commission really wasn't. Road and Bridge was a little bit along the way. But we didn't have to approve it along the way, we just approved it one time to go after it. And I'll tell you, I wish it was different, but there is a way around it. I wish it was different, I really do, but what I do in talking to Mike the last few days, I worry about being on the bottom of the list. If we tell them no, that you gotta rebid it, or if we tell them that they're gonna have to do the delays, we may end up with a gravel road all winter long, and I don't think that's a good idea. And if we rebid it, we may be on the bottom of the stack, and we may not have a new road for several years. I worry about that. So we've got it on the schedule to have a brand-new road in there and along with that new bridge. Long-term, I think that's a good thing. Now, that living through it, and I don't know how many other people take swathers up that road. I know you do. You
I
cut
do.
some hay up there. I can't imagine that contractor, that you couldn't make a deal and run that through there. But you go up and work with them, I think you could probably do that. I would hope you could.
YDOT Director Reiner is aware of this.
He's
And
very
said-
aware of it.
Yeah, he basically, I think the path forward is to try and see if we can't sit down with the contractor somehow and work with them, especially as it relates to cattle. Finding a time period where the road is open for that specific purpose, and might take a little scheduling and whatnot. He said that they do this on roads that have the same problem. Their view is, after he actually went out and looked at it this morning, that it's probably very difficult to keep one lane open and continue to work because it's so narrow in some spots. But the ability to work with the contractor to at least get some access in and out it won't be at your convenience necessarily. You may have to schedule with them, but.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
and speaking of the cattle and whatnot, I just thought of this as well. There's people back there that are hauling in hay as well, so it's not just cattle, it's hay, it's all ag operations. If they gotta have a big truck going through there, that'll potentially limit, I mean, I can't imagine trying to take a tractor with a pup on it down Fremont. I don't think it can be done.
Mhm.
So there'll probably have to be some restrictions if Fremont's the road, but that needs to be part of the conversation too.
We've got other
If-
neighbors
yeah.
back there too.
Yeah, and we'll get Mr. Hagler up here in just a second.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for your time,
Thank you.
Commission. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for
Chairman.
bringing this forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Randy Martin. I'm a rancher out in the Alcova area. I've been accessing the Cordis Road for 40 years, 41 this summer. It's pretty critical to use that road to go up to our summer country. I took the liberty this morning to drive around through, because I'd heard that you were going to try to route us around through Pathfinder and back down through Fremont Canyon. And I will tell you that there is no chance that a semi is going to go down that road. You have to go over into the far lane with a horse trailer to keep that horse trailer on that road. Those corners are so sharp. And when you come down to the west end of that Fremont Bridge, they're not going to make that corner. And safety-wise, it's going to be a mess. And I think the Sheriff's Department would tell you that are out there. When you bring that traffic out of Cottonwood or out of Black Beach and route them up that road in the summertime, plus the traffic that's going to come out of Miracle Mile, you're going to have a mess. There was a guy killed there a couple years ago. You're going to see a lot of accidents. Those semis can't make that corner. Some of those corners, they just can't make them. They're not going to go up that road. It's going to add, I figured it was about 30 minutes to make it around back to the Cordis Road, 8 minutes to get back to Alcova. With a horse trailer, I would never send my crew up that road with a horse trailer in the summertime. And as you guys know, you've heard about the lake out there. There's a lot of drinking that goes on out there. That road's going to be a mess. It's going to be an absolute mess. We have another route that we can take to our summer country. It's called County Road 404. It's a dirt road, a lot of steep hills, gumbo. It's about 20 miles from our headquarters up to our summer country. When it rains, that road's impassable. There's been a lot of times in the summer we were up there docking our lambs or moving our livestock, cattle, whatever, and it rains across those rims. And when it rains across County Road 404, there is no chance you're going to come down it until it dries out a little bit, because it is steep and slick. So it's going to put us in a kind of a precarious situation when we're up there. We're going to be watching the weather when we have our docking crews. You can't just leave the sheep and get out of there. We've had to leave and go down the Cordis Road numerous times because there was no way we were going to chance County Road 404. We didn't get County Road 404 graded last year. Normally they come in the county, and this is a bone of contention of mine, but they come in late in the fall and they grade our road. This last year they didn't grade it. They graded 405 that goes up through our ranch, but they didn't grade 404 that accesses our summer country. I would like to ask, if you're hell-bent on doing this project and we're not going to have a way to get in there other than County Road 404, I would like to ask this board if you would assure us ranchers out there that you would maintain County Road 404 this summer. And I mean, that means grading it this spring, because it wasn't graded last year and it's rough, real rough. If you would assure us that you'll grade that road and maintain it through the summer, at least we would have a route up into our summer country. I think Rob would know when he wants to go see his cattle in the summer, he wants to be able to get there. We need access to them. And I would hope that you would give us assurance that you would talk to the Road and Bridge and make sure that road is graded and maintained. Because it appears to me that this thing's going to go ahead. And if it is, we really don't have a route up. I feel for Tom and those guys that got semis. Their semis aren't going up Fremont Canyon. They're not. I went down that road today. Take a trip out there and drive that. And especially this summer when you get traffic on it, there's no way. Those corners are too sharp. But anyway, I thank you for listening, and I hope that you will visit with the Road and Bridge and that we would get our road graded this spring and keep it maintained for us during the life of this project. Thank you.
Commissioner Andrew.
Yeah, Mr. Martin, thanks for coming in. And that 404, I know kind of where it goes up, and I have not traveled it, but I've flown over it. Does it come back into
Cordis.
the Cordis
Yes.
up above, just right up on top?
It's not, it goes up to the county line, and then it's not a county road any longer. Then it's private through Bummer Ranch and us, and then it goes through Chad Harkins's country too. But it's not, it's only a county road up to the Carbon County line.
Is it a bladed up road, ditched
The
and
ca-
crowned and ditched, where it's in Carbon County?
No.
No.
We grade it with our own road grader. When it gets real rough,
Okay.
we'll go up with our grader or Tom's grader, that sometimes they'll hit it, but we grade it enough to get through it, and, you know, because it gets so rough in the roads that if you don't do it, it's hard to travel, but, so we maintain that part. But it is county from the highway there at Government Bridge.
Right.
It is county up to the Carbon County line.
How far is it from the end of Natrona County over to the road in Cordis?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. It's a number of miles.
Okay.
I don't really know, but I don't know how many miles it'd be across there, but quite a few. But the biggest portion of it is from Government Bridge
Going
to the
down
county
through those
line,
gumbo
and it's
hills.
steep, a lot of really steep hills, and it's gumbo. And you know what that's like when it rains. There's been times when we've struggled to get home. And a lot of times we've taken Cordis just because we were afraid to come down it. It dries out and then we use it again, but for 40 years, we've used Cordis Road, and this is gonna be a bit of a hardship for us. We'll accept what we have to do here, but, because we don't have any choice, but we would ask this board if you would make sure that our Road and Bridge Department would keep that road maintained this summer, because it's gonna be imperative that us and our neighbors are able to access up that way. And right now, it's pretty rough with horse, and I know they also bring semis up that road in the spring. We would appreciate it if we make sure that road is maintained.
I think if that's another alternate road up there, that'd work.
Well,
I
it would
think
work
we
for
can
us, but
keep
it
it
won't work for
graded.
the general public, because we're not gonna allow them through our deeded land. Because there's quite a bit of deeded through there. We wouldn't want the general public running it, because we have gates, we have livestock, you know, what kind of a mess that could turn into.
But you and the neighbors would be.
But us and certainly the neighbors are always get access. We're pretty good out there with each other, so. All
Okay.
right, thank
We'll
you.
see what we
Thank
can
you.
do about grading the road.
What's that?
We'll see what we can do about grading the road.
I'll hold you to it, Ron.
Okay.
Is there anyone else wishing to talk specifically about Cordis Road? All right, Mr. Hagler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike Hagler, Road and Bridge. I think Mr. Walters addressed the concept of the road, and he's correct in that it was originally bid out to have a 30-minute delay. And when the bids came in so high, boy, that thing's ringing. The Federal Highway negotiated to cut the cost back and asked me if there was other alternatives to, keeping the road closed longer to get it done, hopefully to assure that it gets paved before winter. And obviously, we wish there were many more contractors to bid the job. We'd probably be in a little different situation had that been able to occur, but it didn't. So we also talked with Federal Highway, Mr. Walters and myself, and various ones with the Federal Highway a week ago, roughly, to discuss alternatives, and they were open to that, particularly for the cattle trucks, not for the public. But and that's something that we could revisit with the contractor through Federal Highway. I don't have the last say on that. Federal Highway does. Just here to coordinate. But in all reality, the road, Cordis Road, is in tough shape and needs to be done. Fremont Canyon was just rebuilt by the same people that are doing this road, Federal Highway. The bridge is interesting because I've been here 20 years and it's been posted that way. And when I called them this week, and I've got the paperwork right here where they show me what it's rated at. So I don't understand why that posting ever got put on it. The bullet thing came up after that fact, and was a concern when we were tearing down the other bridge at the dam, whether or not we could run trucks up through there. I have spoken to ranchers that have been up through there with cattle trucks. They just fun, and it's not fun coming down, but they made it, And that's the other option, is that we would escort them. We'd close that road, for them only, and there wouldn't be any traffic. That can be accommodated, and it might be a combination of those two things, working them through somehow if we can, and escorting them if we can't. It's all a matter of just coordinating that, I believe. But, and then as far as Spindletop and the other road, Randy, what Mr. Martin was talking about, that there's no way anybody can go up and down that. I mean, we can blade it, but I mean, they are the ones that use it and they're familiar with it. I wouldn't expect cattle trucks to go up and down that. I don't think we could do it, especially if it rained. Yeah, you'd have a mess. But that was never intended to try and take people that way. And besides, it's deeded when you get up on top there. We can't. I've been through there, but only in emergencies with firefighting and whatnot. So it's not a problem to blade that road and keep it in better shape for him. No problem doing that. So I don't know if there's anything else I can answer for you at this point that hasn't already been discussed.
So who ultimately makes the decision on traffic flow? Whether the road's completely closed, whether we could get windows for local access?
Federal Highway will, and they're open to some suggestions, which we've made. Tom brought up the signalization, which it would run like that day and night, and that's not feasible because of the narrowness of the road. But I think we need to address this in cattle truck situation only, and worrying about getting cattle trucks through if we can, and not with the intent of running the public. Because as they've brought up, there are people that drink out there and everything else, and that's what the lake's all about. We've actually modified our plan for Black Beach this year. It won't be reservations. It'll become first come, first served only. Cottonwood is that way. It might be a blessing in disguise that the fuel prices are so high, because I don't believe we're going to have the population out there that we normally do for recreating because of the fuel prices. But that all goes hand in hand with this project. If we try to rebid it and everything, the prices are going to go up.
So is there a role for us to sit down with the highway administration and facilitate getting something done? Because I think a pretty good case has been made. You know, I think if it was an occasional semi or whatever, but my understanding it could be 60 or 70.
Right.
Coming up with something that works specifically for hauling, whether it's cattle or, I don't know if you could, Swather might be a little bit of a challenge to go through there, but is there a role for us to help facilitate, or?
I actually have a call in the morning with Federal Highway to wait to see how this meeting went and what your direction was, and tell them what we weren't going to honor. And I still believe, and Tom can correct me if I'm wrong, but on our call the other day, they had some openness for alternatives, and we're open to that. So it's a little tough till they get that contractor here, and we have a chart of the flow of the work right now, but you know how that goes. So the timing of where that contractor is at the point in time they want to come through or need to come through is critical. There can't be any closures. They have to give us a 7-day notice before they can close anything. So we have a little window of time between closing, opening something that we could coordinate, and it would be coordinating, because I'm sure to get their operators loaded and driving with cows is a process. And so we would all have to, come to the table and get that figured out. But I think there's suggestions been made that are viable, and accommodations that I believe Federal Highway is willing to try and make. We're in coordination with one contractor, and we're not necessarily at his mercy, because we can direct certain things to a certain point without additional cost. And so I think I can find out in the morning, now that I know where we're at here, what we can come to agreement on.
Okay. Well, if there is something that we need to do, let us know.
Well,
As
yeah,
far
I'll-
as far as funding, it has the full amount been allocated out of the Road and Bridge budget for this project?
Yes, well, there's other projects in line. There's another flat project on the mountain.
So you just pulled funds from those projects to complete this
Right,
one?
well, we contribute 9.5% of this project, and it's over budget, so it's gonna be more than we thought.
Okay.
But, you know, I adjusted for that early on a year ago because we figured this was gonna happen when that ruling came out that you had to have the vaccines.
Okay.
But, no, I don't know it's truly an issue of money so much as it is an element of timing and being able to get the contractor in and out of there before winter hits. Because I do not want to maintain a gravel road through the winter going up through there.
Okay.
And they are really concerned if we don't pave it, that we're going to get impregnation of water into those soils that are very expansive, and that's why we have the cracks out there now. And so we'd be starting over, so, you know, they'd have to regrade and wait a whole year to repave, and I'm anticipating that oil prices are just going to go up, so road oil's included in that.
So they're moving forward, if you and I think it's really important if Representative Walters or a couple of other ranchers can kind of fill them in on a schedule of anticipated time periods and see if we can't get that at least where there's at least some degree where we can accommodate their needs, because this doesn't sound like, I'm going to have to go out of my way a little bit. This actually sounds like it's a critical need on their part to be able to use that road, so.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
A lot of times timing's a critical need too, because those BLM allotments up there start at a certain date. They gotta get the cows off meadows, and so some of that is in a week's time in every year, and every outfit's different. So it's a coordination deal.
And that's what I was getting at. It's going to have to be a coordination with the ranchers up there. It's not going to be, it's not going to be open to the public. It's just going to be accommodating their needs. If there's something more that we need to do, please let us know. And
No, after I have that call in the morning, I fully intend on meeting with Representative Walters, and we can get a representative group of the ranchers involved and see what our options are, you know, and then we can get down to timetables.
I mean, even some of it, if it's a whole day where they're shut down and the road's open, it doesn't mean, just because they're shut down, it doesn't mean the road's passable. But
I was just gonna ask too, that, the contractors, is it much like a building here? Are they gonna have weekly contractor meetings?
Oh, yeah, we'll have a weekly meeting.
So, if somebody's getting close to running cows and want a window somewhere, they'd go to that meeting and,
Well, like I say, we'll have that 7-day notice of any closure.
yeah.
So we ought to be able to have the foresight to plan that into that window. There are some days that, during the 4th of July, I think they take a long 4 or 5 day weekend, if I remember right, they said in their pre-construction. And and they don't want to be out there during the 4th of July anyway. But will the road be open then? Depends on where they're at, But
4th of
they're
July.
mandated under the federal highway rules, they have to take that break.
The 4th of July would be a little late for the cows. There are not many then. It's gonna be in June,
Yeah.
maybe the
And
end of
I
May.
think, we're, the onset of this thing, we can probably work that in there to where we can give them a window and try to work with that. If the weather's terrible or something, we're gonna have to have another option.
Well, they gotta have that too. I mean,
Yeah. So it's just communicating.
okay, great. Any other, Commissioner Milne?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mike, what is, you might have said this earlier or something, or it's still kind of up in the air, but what is the projected start and end date?
They're gonna have their mobilization in on the 11th, which I think is a Monday. And they hope to be out of there by October. Or sooner.
So, just out of, are they gonna just take the entire 8 miles or whatever length it is? Take and pull all of the existing cracked pavement out and then do culverts and then try and do it?
Oh, they're gonna do those phases as they're
Okay.
closed. So when phase one, which is from the dam to Black Beach is closed, they'll do all the work in there short of paving. Then they'll move to the next phase, and there aren't as many culverts in some of those phases. So there's some stuff there that, depending on how it all goes, there could be a window that it's open for this type of traffic.
Okay.
But obviously, if they can get in there and do both lanes at the same time and the borrow pits at the same time, and particularly when they're doing 20-foot deep culverts, depending on the manpower they throw at and everything, it's a win-win for everybody if we can get them in and get them out. And so as those phases progress, the last phase is probably the simplest phase up to Cordis, or up to Fremont Canyon, I mean, from Cottonwood. So I anticipate once they get in and get a feel for it all, it's strange to them too. It's easy to put stuff on paper until you get out there and see all the issues. But we're willing, and I think Federal Highway is very willing to, make the accommodations to try and get them through.
Okay.
So
Well, great.
if it's at all possible.
Right, well, keep us informed, and obviously, Mr. Walters, are you a good point person for the spokesman for the ranchers out there at this point?
For the time being, yes, sir.
Okay, all right, well, Mr. Hager will stay in touch with you as well as us, and we'll keep putting our heads together and see if we can't get through this with as least amount of problems as we can. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else wishing to address the commission tonight?
I would like to ask the commissioners if I have permission to use my phone to keep track of my thoughts and stay on track,
You may.
if that would be okay.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. The reason I'm here today,
Sir, could you give us your name and where you live?
okay, I'm Brad Tennant, and I don't know if you want my Casper address or my county address, because I have properties all over the place.
Wha-
I have properties out in county, and I have properties that are in the jurisdiction of the city, but my physical address is on South Center Street.
All right, thank you.
Okay. The issue I want to bring up is about some of the condition of the county streets in the neighborhoods. Like, we have several properties up there in Midwest Heights. It's right, just right up the hill from Homex. I've had families, had properties up there for 25 years, or over 25 years. There's not just that area, but there's county streets all over, all up and down Woodwell Water District. And I brought it up to Natrona County Road and Bridges to try to talk to them about getting something done about this road, because they're horrendous. And they told me that the commissioners told them not to touch them. That's not acceptable. Those roads have not been touched in over 2 decades. I have 6 properties up there, 6 lots, a house, a mobile home. My in-laws have 4 lots, and she hates them. And everybody I've talked to up there said, don't even bother going to the commissioners. They don't care, they won't do anything. I'm hoping that's wrong. So I'm here to try to bring it to your attention. We pay property taxes. This year we faced a significant increase on our assessed values. I haven't seen anything done with the roads. Have you even driven down them roads? The temporary road they use at the landfill, it's a piece of cake compared to that war zone up there. I can't drive 5 miles an hour down that road without groaning in pain. I've spent over $4,000 on front end repairs on my truck this past year, working up there. And that's just for parts. It doesn't include all the labor. I did a lot of the labor myself. That's very expensive for maintenance on a pickup. It's not like it's a semi. Our property values, we can't sell our lots. We have to drastically lower our rent prices in order to get anybody to even rent up there. But I have our property value assessed at $160,000. We can't even sell it for $150,000 because of the road. I have a list of complaints that people have talked about for the roads. They have the same comment that I have to make about it. They're horrible. We have a message from a man. He said he would be interested in buying one of our trailer lot, but not because of that road. I would invite you guys, if you don't think the road's that bad, go up there and drive it. I do not believe you would want to have to deal with the road like that in your neighborhood where you live. I know a portion of our property taxes goes for the road maintenance in neighborhoods. And I also, if I'm not mistaken, the Amical Reclamation Funds, part of that was supposed to go for improvements in the Midwest Heights area and to pave that road, which has never seen a thing done with it. I'm going to give you guys a chance to respond.
Okay. Commissioner Kaufman.
So it's not necessarily a question, but I'm curious, is it a road that's public use but not a county road? So I didn't know if we had staff that can address that, or what's the next step of that? I think that'll help us understand where we are. County Attorney Nelson.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, yeah, I can address this. I did meet with the planning staff today. The roads in question are in the Midwest Heights subdivision. We pulled up the plat. Those were platted back in, I think, 1921. The dedication on the plat is a little bit nebulous, but at any rate, we do believe that they're dedicated to the public. However, they are not county roads. And so it has been always the policy of the county that we do not perform maintenance on roads dedicated to the public, which are not designated as county roads. By statute, there was a point in time when the county had to basically identify all of the county roads. And then there's a process after that to identify new county roads. And so we don't believe that the roads in question are county roads. I think that, in speaking with Mr. Hagler, there was a time in the past when there was some emergency work that was needed in this area due to some flooding and erosion. There were some exposed gas lines, and so they had gone in there and done a little bit of work on the roads as a safety precaution. But there are dozens and dozens of these types of roads within the county, and we certainly just do not have the money or manpower and are not obligated statutorily to provide maintenance. What the county does provide in these instances is money for homeowners in the area to form an improvement and service district. There's up to $5,000 available to pay attorney costs and formation costs, and up to $25,000 a year is available as matching funds from the county to perform road maintenance. And we have had improvement and service districts take advantage of that money in other cases. But this would be an effort that the landowners and the homeowners in the subdivision would have to come together and form themselves. So in short, no, there is not any county maintenance of these roads.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just to follow up, so County Attorney Nelson, I appreciate that. So is the only way then for the people out there to have an approved road is to form an ISD?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Kaufman, I think that is the avenue that they would have to go down at this point to improve those roads.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question then. So then what are you using our property tax for? Why, when we went down to the city, they figured that whoever is getting our property tax is responsible for the road, and they said it's going to the county.
16%, roughly, give or take, 16% of your property taxes goes to the county.
For what?
About 80% of it goes to the schools.
What are you doing with the 16%?
Let's see, the two deputies here are come out of that. That goes into our general fund. We pay salaries for our public safety. General operations of the county.
So no one's responsible for that road,
Property owners actually are.
even though it's
I'd
not?
like to address that. If property owners are responsible for it, how come when we bring a drag out, try to drag that road up, we get threatened with fines?
I don't know who would threaten you with fines.
Wardwell Water District for one. And I'm not sure who else, but my family's lived on that road every time he brought the drag out and tried to clean that road. He had to get rid of his drag because they threatened him with fines.
So in this particular case, those roads, Wardwell probably has a right-of-way for their water lines that run down it. Now, interestingly, Wardwell is trying to work with some of the other bad roads in Wardwell to create some road improvement entities so that they can fix them. The Midwest Heights is but one of probably, in Wardwell, probably 3 areas where this same thing has occurred.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I can add
Yes.
to that. So, yeah, that's correct. Through the Wardwell Water Improvement, District, they did the Blair Lane Special Improvement District, and they formed that temporary district to do road improvement. So it's in this similar area, but I believe west of there, if I'm not mistaken. But again, that's outside of the county. That was a Wardwell effort, and then they basically assess property owners a certain amount to fund that. So that is another avenue through Wardwell that they could pursue.
And the county does have a plan in place where up to 25,000 will participate. Is it 50-50? We'll participate 50-50 up to 25,000. So if you can work it out with Wardwell as it relates to their right-of-ways, they're protective of them because their depth to water lines is getting eroded over time. So if you could get the property owners together, form this, the county would join with that and pay half of the costs.
So basically, you're saying it's a private road.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Private road, I don't want to see code enforcement up there.
well, Wardwell is not code enforcement.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
clarification, they are not private roads. They are dedicated to
Yeah.
the public. They are public right-of-ways. They're not county-maintained.
Okay. But they are in Wardwell, probably, I'm just speculating, when they did the subdivision, they probably put the water lines right down the middle of those roads. And now, I don't know where they have the authority to fine you for anything. Now, they may be able to call the sheriff's department and have them come out and tell you that you're doing something in their right-of-way. Now, I don't know if that's a possibility. Trying to do improvements out there they are aware that there are areas that the depth to their water lines is getting eroded. Now, if you can work with them in the process and make sure that you aren't going to impact their water lines, I don't see why they would not allow you to do maintenance on it.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner North?
Wardwell did just have some elections, and they have some new officers that are in there that I think will be more receptive to what your concerns are also. So I think it's a good time to take that to them.
Point.
I just have one more question. You guys know anything that in code, the reclamation things that is supposed to go for improvement to the district in that area?
To the best of my knowledge, that area is outside of it. The reclamation is from the tank, the old existing tanks, and to the east, where the general hydrology, where the flow would go. So I don't believe Midwest Heights is in it, in that area. But I would be glad to check with the executive director of the Amoco Reuse Joint Powers Board and confirm where that boundary is.
Okay. All right, I'm going to do a research myself. Anything you guys want to add?
Well, just to clarify, you're saying to go to Wardwell and see if they will work with you, and you'll match $25,000? Like if Wardwell puts $25,000 in, or you want the property owner to put $25,000?
So, Mr. Chairman, so you can contact me, and I have, I can let you know about the application process for the county matching funds. I can also put you in contact with Wardwell or even through their attorney and see if they'd be willing to do like a special district. But, so yeah, just contact me, and I can walk you through that process.
And the one thing about it, you don't necessarily have to form with Wardwell. You're just probably going to have to get their permission. If you want to do this without Wardwell's involvement, as far as actually doing the work, you're going to have to get their approval because you're going to most likely be in there right away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else wishing to address the commission tonight? With that, I guess we're done.